Hey y'all, it's Maddie here. We were supposed to do the Tin Cup commentary this week, but unfortunately, Dylan's cat interrupted my intro. And I hate to bring levity to this situation because the unfortunate reality is Lexi's chinchilla bouncer passed away this week, and she wasn't really up for recording a long podcast this week. So instead, we're going to pivot and we're going to give you our Suicide Squad review, which was supposed to be an exclusive for our YouTube channel, but we want to make sure we have some content here on the main feed. And we're also going to tack on our review for the first episode of What If, which we're probably not going to review weekly like we did the other Disney Plus series. We're probably just going to do a wrap-up for it when the season is over, but we want to at least share our thoughts on the first episode and put it together with our Suicide Squad review. So we're going to do What If first, and then the Suicide Squad review, since it's going to be the main course here, even though neither one of them are quite as long as a regular full-length episode. But we want to give you something. We hope that you enjoy it, and we are going to try to come back with the Tin Cup commentary in 2 weeks probably. Next week we have another episode scheduled, so hope that you will enjoy all of that. And of course, check us out on YouTube and make sure to subscribe here at anchor.fm/LexiCon podcast. And without any further ado, after a moment of silence for Bouncer, we will get the conversation started. Alright, so we saw the first episode of the new animated Disney Plus Marvel series, What If? And I don't think we're going to review this every week, but we want to at least share our thoughts on the first episode, and I think we'll come back and do a wrap-up for the whole series. But we may come out with weekly episodes. I just don't want to set any expectations. So anyway, let's talk about the first episode and what we thought of it.
Yes.
And of course, spoilers for episode 1 of What If. So it was a Captain Carter episode featuring Peggy taking the serum.
Yes.
I do want to say right off the bat, I like the What If series and the concept in general, but I don't like the specific conceit that these are all going to be based on, somebody made a specific decision and that created a branch timeline. Because I don't like that concept. Like, every decision you make creates another timeline. I'm going to snap my fingers. No, I'm not going to. Okay, I just made another branch timeline. So I don't like that specific aspect if we're going to get real micro about it.
Uh-huh.
I just wish these were either explicitly what-if scenarios or just, hey, these are just different elements of the multiverse now that we're expanding into that. That is not predicated on, somebody made a specific decision to create this branch timeline.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I thought it was really fun, the first episode.
Yeah, it
was a nice little truncated version of Lady Cap.
Yeah.
Very, very similar to the first Avenger movie, but
very much
divergent as well. I do question the idea that Peggy staying in the room created this timeline, in as much as it put her in the position to accept the serum.
Yes.
But it was all built on the idea that the bomb went off and they tried to stop the Hydra agent, and Steve got hurt and they were running out of time, and so Peggy had to jump in and take his place.
Yeah.
But in this case, the guy set off the bomb earlier. In the first Avenger, he set it off after Steve had already gotten the serum.
Yeah.
And so it didn't seem like Peggy... And I understand butterfly effect and all that, but I mean, we didn't see any direct correlation between Peggy staying in the room and him setting off the bomb earlier.
Yeah.
So that part annoyed me a little bit, too.
Yeah.
But once she got in and took the serum and her boobs grew and... did anybody else not notice that? I swear I know she has bigger muscles, but it looked like her boobs got bigger too.
You got muscles on the boobs.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but am I the only one who noticed that? I can't be, right?
Probably not.
Okay, muscly men have big boobs too.
But I enjoyed it from there, though. I liked the romp with Captain Carter and the sort of role reversals and her facing off some of the stuff that Steve did and some little knowing winks at it. Like, they could make you a show person for the war effort. And there were some other funny little bits like that I don't specifically... Or like she saved Bucky on the train. He's like, you almost pulled my arm off.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing about it... I thought Captain Carter was a really cool character. It'd be nice to see more of that. But the fact that they turned Steve into the first Iron Man...
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I had...
made
a walking tank.
Hulkbuster-sized suit, which I guess you would expect the earlier versions to be bigger and bulkier, but that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I had unfortunately seen about that before we actually saw the episode. But, yeah. That was actually cool to see, though.
I also a pullable tank.
I also have a question too, though, because early on, Captain Carter gets the Tesseract back.
Yes.
And then later on, Red Skull's just got it.
Yeah, and none of us...
If there was an explanation, I didn't see it.
Yeah, none of us caught an explanation.
Like she had the fake one or somebody got it back, and I don't remember Steve getting it back in the movie and then losing it back to Hydra. It was just it stayed with Hydra until the end of the movie, till they crashed the plane, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Also in this, there's no plane crashing.
No, there's an interdimensional portal, and I was questioning too when Red Skull was ballyhooing that he's going to bring this champion for Hydra from beyond the stars. At first I thought maybe he was going to summon Thor. Because of the connection to Odin and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, well, he's just going to bring the Chitauri in like they did in Avengers, because that's what they used the Tesseract for in that. And it turned out to be some giant squid thing that I've never seen before, which may have a home in the comics. I'm just not familiar with it.
Giant tentacle monster.
Isn't Hydra like a dragon, though? Like a mini-headed water dragon kind of thing?
Yeah, but the logo is
in
octopus.
Marvel, yeah. So.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
And we got to see Peggy with a sword, though. That was cool.
Facts.
All Captain America should have a sword. All Captain, whatevers.
Yeah, that was awesome. And she got sucked through the portal, and then Hawkeye and Fury bring her back at the end, sort of the way they were testing the Tesseract in Avengers.
Yes.
And that's when she came back. And we didn't get to see much after that, but she still had the sword, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. My favorite part of the episode is probably when her and Steve are having a drink and seem like they're going to kiss, but then get interrupted by Howard Stark. Yeah. Because Bucky has stolen a Jeep. I just sat there like, and that's the perfectness I needed.
Mom stole a Jeep.
I will say, for as much as I like this show, it would be nice to see beyond, now Peggy's come back like Cap did. So what happened in this reality beyond that? And did Steve continue to be Iron Man and the suit gets refined? And so what about Tony? And some of the things, it'd be almost fun to just follow one alternate reality through a whole season.
Yeah,
and then do another one for the next season.
I agree. I would definitely like to see more
back
of
to
this.
the MCU.
Though I also just want more of those for getting into things.
It might, but it would probably just be ancillary or small pieces of it. I don't think we're going to see a whole explanation because there's so many others, and I don't think.
Probably is like the character.
I just realized.
To the best of my knowledge, it's not one timeline that they're following. It's not like all these alternate things happen in one specific. It's like they're all different timelines or alternate universes.
But what if they're like simultaneously or the same timeline or something like that? I didn't have to read it though. But I just realized that in this timeline with Captain Carter, of course, she's the one who ends up 70 years later. Steve and Bucky doesn't die, so Steve and Bucky just kind of get to live the life together.
Yeah.
Does somebody else become the Winter Soldier?
I don't know about that.
And Red Skull just gets crushed by the Hydra, so he doesn't go to Vormir to guard the Soul Stone.
Facts.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There's all kind of interesting things they could play. Oh, they could do like a run in the comic. They could do like a special run comic.
They should just have an entire What If comic series to follow these.
Well, there is a What If comic series, but they're all one-offs as far as I know.
Well, they need to make entire.
You didn't realize What If was a comic.
Yeah, like I kind of knew that, but I'm just saying, like they should make.
Yeah, they could do an actual series spinning off
all of these.
They could do story arcs following the series and make it more episodic instead of just one-offs.
Yeah,
there's a Disney 12. I know would be the best to make a series.
Right. The season 1 is just a test.
About the only other thing I have to say about this episode, and it's not specific to this episode, but it just reminds me, I have trouble reconciling the 40s Howard Stark with the one we see later in the MCU.
Yeah.
I know he's older, but it doesn't feel like an older version of the same person. He really feels like two different people.
It does.
And I mean, I understand things go on and people change, and especially there's major events that happen in your life, but we never really see that, so it's just...
We just need a Howard Stark.
I have trouble reconciling them. Old Howard doesn't feel the same as young Howard, which I understand people aren't exactly the same when they're old and young, but it doesn't feel like an aged version of the same character.
Yeah.
Young Howard
two
is
completely
great,
different characters. Do what?
Young Howard is great.
Young Howard is always great.
Alright, so any other thought? I don't think we need to give it a rating or anything. I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And even though it's not explicitly canon, I mean, especially with multiverse, I suppose it could be considered canon, but it's not following along what we've seen, and we're probably not going to follow up on it.
Yeah.
But I thought that would take me out of it a little bit, like, what do I care? It's not really going to follow along. But it was pretty damn fun, so I'm looking forward to watching some more of it.
Felt like a short recap sort of animated thing of First Avenger with some modifications.
So we'll give this first episode a thumbs up for now, and like I say, we may do episode-by-episode reviews, but more likely we're just going to come back and take a look at the season as a whole when it's finished.
Yeah.
All right, cool then.
Cool.
All right, The Suicide Squad. Let's give our take on it. Now, I should preface this by saying this is actually the second time we've recorded this. We sat down to record it right after we saw it, and something happened to the audio file. So this is a couple days later, and I think we still remember pretty much what we thought about it, of course, but if we don't have exactly the amount of enthusiasm we would expect for this, bear with us. This is the second time we're doing this.
Yeah.
But we still wanted to share our thoughts on. Of course, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff on YouTube. Subscribe to us here. Follow the main podcast feed at anchor.fm/LexiCon podcast. And let's get into it.
Yeah.
How many times can y'all say yeah?
Yeah.
Did y'all like the movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't think of another question to ask her that she would answer yet to.
Yeah.
I have to say right off the bat that I think it's amazing the man who made the absolute worst Marvel movie, in my opinion, or MCU movie, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, made probably the best DCEU movie.
Well,
Although I still like Zack Snyder's Justice League a lot.
Yeah.
And I still like the original Suicide Squad movie from DCEU as well, but
Same.
I like this one better, I will admit. I don't think that diminishes the original, it's just
no.
the next Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Newicide Squad.
Lol.
Yeah.
Hashtag Newicide Squad. Hashtag Newicide Squad.
No Side Squad.
This one was supposed to be like a sequel and a soft reboot, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
Something
it just
like
felt
that.
more like a sequel to me
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what really defines reboot versus remake,
Me neither.
but it felt like it was continuing where we left off. We had some of the same players in Flag and Waller and
Yeah.
Harley, of course.
Of course.
I think it got started a little slowly. And
Mhm.
going into it, I really didn't expect to like it from seeing the previews and from how much I hated Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I mean, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Thought it was really good, but I didn't care at all for Volume 2, which we've talked about at length. And when this movie kicked off, even though I appreciated the Johnny Cash song starting things off, I felt like, man, this is just for,
Yeah.
you know, over-stylized and cliched, and this is not going to be much. It wasn't really until after the first wave had hit the beach and been taken out, and we cut back to 3 days earlier, and Idris Elba comes on screen. And, of course, I've always loved Idris Elba, but I thought he
Yes.
was fantastic in this.
Yeah.
The whole cast
Loved him.
was really good, too, but once Idris Elba was on screen, and specifically once they got to the scene between he and his daughter when they were talking on the prison phones and they started saying "fuck you" to each other. I don't know why, but that's just sort of when the movie really kicked off for me.
Lol.
And from there on out, I just truly enjoyed the ride. In fact, I think as far as seeing a new movie, or at least seeing a movie for the first time, this has been my best experience with that since Endgame.
Nice.
I mean, we've seen a bunch of movies since then. There are plenty of good ones, too. You know, Far From Home was really good. Black Widow was
Lol.
Tolkien was fine. Soul was really good. Onward was pretty good.
Lots of good ones.
The Wonder Woman movies were fine. But this is, like I said, the best experience I've had seeing a movie for the first time since Endgame.
Nice.
So that's very high praise for me because you know how much I enjoyed Endgame.
Yes. Endgame was great. We're not talking Endgame now.
I mentioned that I really liked the cast. I thought everybody did a really phenomenal job. And like I said, Idris Elba was great. You know, everybody in the cast who, at least of the main cast, who really had... I mean, everybody was fine, but obviously
Yeah.
you focused most on who was on screen.
main characters.
Danielle Melchior was great as Ratcatcher 2.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I'm going to screw up his name, but it's like David Dasmalchian, who played Polka Dot Man.
Nice.
Mm.
I
He
like
was
Polka Dot
fantastic.
Man.
And along with Idris Elba now being an MCU, DCEU crossover as Heimdall and Bloodsport,
Facts.
David Dasmalchian, he's in the MCU as well. He's one of Scott Lang's friends in Ant-Man. He's Kurt.
Interesting.
Actually, there's a lot of MCU, DCU crossover, and starting with the director, of course, James
Yeah.
Gunn. His brother Sean Gunn has a small role in it as a calendar man in the prison. He also did the motion capture for Weasel.
Weasel was
Of course, he's in
something
Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of the Ravengers, and he's also the motion capture for at least for Rocket, if not for Rocket and Groot.
else. Nice. Weasel and Rocket.
Okay, get on your own shoulder.
Sylvester Stallone, of course, does the voice of King Shark in this, and he's one of the OG Ravengers in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Nice.
Taika Waititi has a small role in this, small but memorable.
Yes.
And of course, not only is he the director of the most recent Thor movie and the upcoming one, he's also the voice of Korg.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, Michael Rooker, of course, has a small role in this as Savant. Actually, is the first character we see on screen, and he was Yondu, of course, in the Guardians films. So actually, a lot of MCU, DCEU crossover.
I feel as though James
with this.
Gunn just has a team that he goes in with when he does a movie.
I mean, to a degree,
Yeah.
but then of course you've got. I was just looking through the credits because I had to look at it to make sure, or to try to pronounce David Dasmalchian's name correctly.
Yes.
D. Bradley Baker did the quote voice for Sebastian, the rat.
Nice.
That's Perry the Platypus's voice.
Of course.
Nice.
Who else do you get to do animal voices?
I didn't even know there was any point that they had to get voiceover for the rat.
Me neither.
I thought they
rat
could take a
sounds.
stock rat PNG.
The PNG. When the rat goes to talk, there's just a PNG on screen. Dialogue for rat. Rat squeaks.
You know, would that be so out of place in this movie, though?
No.
God, maybe not.
I don't think so with all the
It would though, and it'd be one of the few things I would nitpick about, which I'm going to get to some of my little nitpicks in just a minute. But going back to the cast, John Cena as Peacemaker,
yes,
was really good, and I think John Cena's really turned out to be the modern day Arnold Schwarzenegger. Which I know some people would say, oh, it's The Rock, but I think Rock has far surpassed Arnold in terms of versatility and acting talent and personality. And I mean, you know, Arnold could do action and comedy, and he got better as an actor, but I would say The Rock has long since far surpassed him. And I think Cena may have as well at this point, and certainly has.
Arnold is the best.
Certainly has the potential to have passed Arnold, but I got a lot of really strong early Arnold vibes from Cena, and I mean that in a good way, not like Hercules with muscles Arnold, where they had to dub his voiceover, or even Conan Arnold when he could barely act. But I think it's interesting too that I bring that up because I got really strong Predator vibes from this movie, the seminal '87 action film from John McTiernan starring Arnold. Which you haven't seen, but Dylan, you have, so you should have picked up on.
I have seen.
From the idea of they're sitting in this team on what could be a suicide mission, and they're not really clear on what they're supposed to be doing, and they have to fight a guerrilla force, but then in the end they also have to face off with an intergalactic threat. Mm-hmm. And from that opening scene when the first team is heading into the jungle and they're sitting in the helicopter, that's so much like when they were heading in Predator, to the scene at the very end when Idris Elba and the others are weary but victorious in the helicopter, like Arnold at the end of Predator. So I got serious Predator vibes from this movie. I have to think James Gunn must have been a fan of Predator, because there was a lot of Predator DNA running through this movie. And it was gory as fuck too, which Predator was also.
It was so good. There's a hot cam. Someone got stabbed.
Didn't need that.
Yeah, I don't think we even needed all the blood and gore. Like I don't have a moral objection to it, and I don't mind most of it. I think you could have cut down on it by a small percentage and actually made the movie slightly better. And in fact, that's one of my small knocks on the movie, is that I thought it was, if not too hyper violent, it was definitely a little more gory than it needed to be. But in general, I don't mind that, and I don't think it was it had to be really sanitized. I think you could have dialed back a small amount.
Yeah, there was just like some things, like you mentioned the hot cam. It was just to me. Like I just didn't personally want to see it.
Yeah. I talked about liking the cast so much is one of my favorite things, and just enjoying the story and the vibe of the movie and how much I enjoyed it. I guess we should get into some of the things I didn't like about it, which really were few and far between.
Yeah.
But like I said, I thought the violence and specifically the gore was a little too much.
Yes.
But again, I don't want it completely scrubbed clean. Just you could have dialed it back a smidge. I also didn't like the way they used elements of the scenes to replace the title cards when they needed to present information that way. Like I thought at the beginning when they used the blood in the water to spell out Warner Brothers Pictures Presents, that worked fine for me. And then toward the end, when they were like, we're at Jotunheim now, and we have Jotunheim on the screen, and it's one of those like art installations where if you look at it from a certain way, it's just a series of shapes, but you look at it at the right angle and it spells out a word or makes a picture.
Yeah, that one was good.
But they did it over and over. They did it with, roots in the ground. They did it with fire, and the fire even changed at one point. And then they did it with the cleaner on the toilet seat. I thought that got to be a little too much. And I understand trying to blend things in and make it organic to the scene, but for the most part, those felt removed from it anyway. And I think just text on the screen would have been just as good. But speaking of text on the screen, when they get to the big battle at the end with Starro, and they actually put text on the screen in this sort of cartoony font, and I saw somebody compare it to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which I haven't seen, and I played the video game a little bit, but
what's her name?
That was, I don't know, but that was a little too much for me. Like not like, oh, it's too much, I can't stand it. Just like it's like, really, you needed that?
Yeah.
And again, it's like all the other times they try to make it organically fit in the scene, and then now we're gonna throw the comic font up there. And it's like,
yeah.
I don't think you need it at all. I think about half the ones they showed you didn't necessarily need, but.
Yeah, those, at first I didn't really like them, but towards the end, they started to go on me a little bit.
Yeah, see, I'm just the opposite. I like the first one and the Jotunheim one.
Yeah.
And that I could have done without all the rest. I mean, I guess if you're going to do it, keep doing it, keep a theme, but then, like I say, they vary from it with the Starro scene.
Yeah, that one is definitely something else.
Yeah, that's just to be there.
And then, of course, you mentioned the heart-piercing scene when, after Peacemaker has revealed his true loyalty and turn on the team, and he ends up killing Flag. He stabs him with a piece of glass and then shoves it in further, and they actually cut inside Flag's body and show it piercing his heart. And it's like, we've seen stuff like that in movies. You know, you see the inside the body, the bone breaks, or you see people being transformed by mutagens or what have you.
Yeah.
But it just felt out of place here. Like
It did.
It seemed like you should have seen it multiple times, or the movies you see it and you see it repeatedly. It just felt a little indulgent in this, and unnecessary. Like, I get it, he stabbed him harder and he killed him. Okay, that's fine.
Facts.
Maybe they felt like, oh, it's a comic book movie. It'd be too easy for him to come back, so we have to show that he's dead. But
maybe.
to be fair, Peacemaker bled out after getting shot, and he comes back in the end credit scene. So
Facts.
I also think it kind of like took out some of the drama of that scene. Like, it messed up the flow of that scene.
yeah.
Maybe.
Speaking of the scene where Peacemaker got shot, Idris Elba's Bloodsport takes him out by shooting a smaller bullet, so it goes through
Yes.
Peacemaker's bullet when they have the square off in the little duel.
There's that good at aiming.
And that's the characters, but it plays off of something early on when Bloodsport's like, why do we need him? He's just like me. And they're going back and forth how, I can do it better. And Peacemaker says, I use smaller bullets, they'll go right through your bullet hole without hitting the side. So it's kind of a neat callback, like, hey, I learned from you and did your trick on you, but it almost didn't make as much sense because that was supposed to be Peacemaker's trick.
Yeah.
Which I did like when they were having that little competition when they were mowing down the freedom fighters, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I thought it was the evil guerrillas or the evil, capturing army, and it turned out to be the freedom fighters. But they were going through and they were like competing for the best kills, and Peacemaker used this exploding bullet, and Bloodsport was like, nobody likes to show off. It's like, they do what they're showing off is rad as fuck. and Bloodsport was like, damn, he's right. The interplay between them was great. Maybe we'll see some more of that in whatever Peacemaker's being kept alive for.
Yeah.
And like I say, Idris Elba was great in everything.
Facts.
The whole cast was fantastic. I didn't like that Polka Dot Man died in the climactic battle.
Yeah.
Like, he says that he wants to die.
That's the other thing.
But
There's a little bit of a redemption to it. Like, he said he wanted to die on the mission, and of course he's great dealing with his mom issues throughout the thing.
Yes.
You see his mom projected on all his foes, or even his friends in one case when he sees them dancing.
That's it.
even
When
the
he sees them in
rat.
the jungle, and then when they're dancing in the club.
Yeah, that jungle scene was great.
And I love Mom Starro, which precedes his death.
I'm pretty sure that actor had just as much screen time as Star, just because they had to record for each one of those shots.
Mm.
But yeah, everybody was great. I really liked the scene too where Ratcatcher's calling, or Ratcatcher 2 is calling the rats to attack Starro. I mean, I just like that scene. It was like, the city is theirs, and it was kind of weird, because like, it is the people's city too. Why is it just for the rats? But it's a nice moment too where they swarm up
To the rats.
to come turn the tide. But Idris Elba's character has a fear of rats, and they're running over top of him. She puts her arm around him as they're swarming. I thought that was a really nice moment, because a lot of this is about the relationships between the characters, which,
very much.
you should know, anybody listening to this, who's listening to the podcast, that's what I really like in my entertainment, is I mean, I can enjoy other aspects as well, but when you have really strong relationships between the characters, I really, really enjoy it, like in Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potter series, Twilight, which I know you guys shit on, but you've never read the books, so
Facts.
I think that's a little bit unfair. But anytime you can have, the Star Wars novels especially,
Yeah.
anytime you can have really good relationships between your characters, I really enjoy that bit. Speaking of relationships between characters too, Taika Waititi has the small role as Ratcatcher's father, the original Ratcatcher. I really like the flashback scenes between them. I thought it really, helped build the character, and of course he has that great moment right toward the end when he and Ratcatcher 2 are sitting on the statue, and he explains why rats, because they're considered the lowest of creatures, but they serve their purpose, and it's this great uplifting moment, and the swirling music. It comes out of nowhere,
Disney.
but it fits so perfectly as well.
It feels like a Disney
And that's one thing about the way this movie is assembled. It's like in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I think the humor really undercuts the movie. Like, not that you shouldn't have humor, but just the way it's used, I think it diminishes the story and the characters. But in this, when you do have this humor, I think it actually builds things up and adds to the characters and helps flesh out who they are and what's going on. So it's just a complete difference from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 to me, as far as why this one worked and that one didn't.
Yeah.
Speaking of one more thing I didn't like too, was the Harley's big scene when she's breaking herself out and she's mowing all these soldiers down. They added all these animated flowers and even like a little bird and stuff behind her. Around her.
That was a bit.
And even if it's supposed to be like a glimpse into Harley's psyche, it took me out of the scene a bit.
Same.
I don't think we needed all that. It really felt like Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2, Jessica's Revenge,
Well,